Welcome and hello and hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. Hello and welcome. This one almost broke me, guys. It's me, your fat spirit animal, Danny Deals. Your chunky stock monkey, everybody's favorite flunky. Um, Boy, what a day, guys. Seems like everything I own was down 7-8%. Just basically sitting over here icing my testicles on the lonesome, trying to get my head around what's going on. You know, I guess what it boils down to right now is should you run to safety? Should you go to cash? Should you go to some, more defensive plays, the consumer stuff, the utility stocks, the healthcare stocks. I'm not there yet for a few reasons. Like I think I'm not budging at all on SoFi, which I really increased my position in recently. It was already huge, but I increased it even more. I think SoFi is holding up incredibly well, trying to hold above $29. Usually, if you guys remember, how things used to go with SoFi. Sorry, I always go over here and cut off my head. But any day the market was being punished, like if the market was down, if most stocks were down, Robinhood was down 7%, SoFi would have been down 20%. I just had extremely exaggerated losses on days, when the market was just red overall. Now, it's hard to say exactly why, these red days happen sort of across the board at a particular time, but a lot of people just, looking at the multiples, looking at the valuation, not only these stocks, that are down, but just the overall market, like particularly the Nasdaq, it's not at an all-time high in terms of multiple. It's very, very close. It might have gotten there. So the market's just overvalued historically, but we take a look at a few things. There's still money coming into the market. There's still a lot of volume in the market. I think what's been driving the Nasdaq and the tech sector up has been obviously this sort of AI trade, but I would contend it's not an AI trade. It's here to stay. This spending is here for the foreseeable future. NVIDIA is not going anywhere. Data center buildouts aren't going anywhere. In fact, it's just accelerating. And, it's accelerating not only here, but in terms of other geographies, Europe, Asia, Middle East, all committed to huge amounts of spending on AI. And you're starting to see the market try to pick winners and losers. It decides, okay, today Meta's a loser, Google's a winner, Microsoft's a loser, whatever other company's a winner today. So, AMD, good numbers, sold off on earnings. SMCI, I think, this presents a real opportunity because SMCI really gave some pretty strong guidance for the full year at 36 billion at the midpoint, and they were looking for anywhere above 33. So that's a very, very significant raise on the top line. Now they were coming up short in terms of EPS. They didn't give full year guidance, I believe, for EPS. They just gave revenue guidance, which is a little bit shaky. But I think part of it, in all honesty, with SMCI is just that they they finally have to be totally honest about their accounting. Like dot every I, cross every T, and like BDO came down hard and just said, "Hey, we're not signing this shit unless it's 110% Boy Scout, honest Abe Lincoln accurate with a cherry on top. Like if there's one penny shady, we're walking." Because I think they barely signed, the first earnings reports, the delayed ones and all that stuff. I think they barely, like I said, I think Aunt Sarah put a gun to somebody's head, and forced BDO to sign those because they basically signed them under protest. They're like, we don't have any confidence in this garbage. But the bottom line is 5 billion this quarter, and they're saying, 10 to 11 billion next quarter. And the street wanted 7.9. So if you kind of look at it in that way, they're like, okay, they're 800 million below what the street wanted this quarter, and they're guiding for, 2.5, 3 billion more than the street wanted next quarter. And that is taken overall by the market, of course, as a huge overall negative. Now, of course, the fact that everything was just bleeding, particularly now bank stocks like JP Morgan, Bank of America, I think we're actually green today. It's a sign that the market does not care about the real economy. The market cares about the market. The market cares about money. The market cares about those particular securities, those particular companies. The market doesn't care if, gas is expensive. And, I'm generalizing. Of course, oil companies do, and, different things, it matters. But I'm just saying, like, if things are difficult for the lower middle class and stuff, the market really doesn't care. Those people don't own stocks. They're commodities to, labor is not, friends with capital for the most part. So you can have this real disconnection in that the AI trade is still growing. Tech companies are still turning in incredible earnings. Other companies are turning in good earnings. And then people are suffering, with inflation and, real wages going down vis-a-vis inflation. It's a lot of pain, and it's getting more painful. You're seeing a lot of housing transactions, not go through, people not be able to get loans, a ton of transactions not closing. You're seeing more, dramatic price reductions. And anytime, at least in recent history, you're seeing auto repossessions just go absolutely through the roof. So it's hard to say how that pain, if it gets really bad, especially with the government shutdown, like the food assistance not going out and all that stuff, how does that actually translate into the market? Because I don't think that has anything to do with what this is, today in terms of the sell-off. I just think this is, basically Mr. Market saying things are very, very shaky out there. We're doing nothing about debt. We're basically, I think honestly, I hate to say it, but I think the one Fed governor was right who didn't want to do a rate cut. Because I feel like people who, on the one hand, I'm talking about, people not having money, people are going to be in big trouble, but then these same people are just spending and spending and spending and buying crypto. I think we might go back to the, pandemic days of people just going, fuck it, I'm just going to buy crypto instead of paying my rent. See what happens. Buy Shiba Inu. I think you're really going to like what I have for you. And then this is another time where I said, guys, when things get tough, that is when you cannot own junk. Like, you don't want to own penny stocks. You don't want to own some of these, I know people are going to get on me and say, like, Bitmine immersion, you don't understand it. It's the new software. It's going to do all these different things. I'm saying I don't doubt Ethereum has a bright future. But what I'm saying is Tom Lee talking does not make this company have some super premium valuation just because he says so. And just because he gives these crazy numbers for Ethereum and Bitcoin, at the end of the year, end of next year. I mean, maybe it's not crazy. Maybe he's right, but maybe he's absolutely wrong. Maybe these things, if the economy falls apart, everybody's going to be selling this stuff. They're going to have to. And it's going to be, I think, be a lot like housing, where institutions then snap it up low and kind of corner the market from all these Lambros that were swimming testy deep in the, Bitcoin Don Quixote fountain of youth, whatever the hell I'm talking about. So yeah, earnings, like I said, they already guided for the 5. It was total. And so really the only new information we got was just a slight miss on EPS, but I think that's really outweighed by the outstanding guidance and raising full year guidance. Now, why are margins not what they could be? Well, a lot of reasons. It is increased competition, but it's also the fact that they had to pay more for money than they should have because they screwed themselves, shot themselves in the foot and the wiener by not doing their books properly, by cooking the books. And that's going to cost you. And it did cost them. It cost them business. It cost them sales. It cost them money. It cost them paying more interest. cost them the poison pill that, best of us investors is always, yammering on about. But, in the midterm, 3 years out, 5 years out, this company could be showing just the same type of incredible growth. I mean, what did they do last year? 22, and they're guiding for 36 at the midpoint. So, what is that? Like 60% growth or something? More than 60? I mean, the growth, these growth stories are like, absolutely incredible when you put it in context of any other company getting these types of growth numbers is getting insane multiples. But SoFi is not going to get those insane multiples because they're a bank. SMCI is not going to get those insane multiples. Not only the accounting scandal and uncertainty, but also, they're not taking enough of it to the bottom line. But again, I think a lot of that's growing pains. I think that's going to be sorted. And if you think about it, the 5 billion, like there's not a lot of new Blackswell's, revenue in there. They're not really recognizing that new revenue yet. That's still a lot of the old stuff, flushing through the old colon, as it were, the old colon blow. Don't forget about ultra colon blow. Remember those commercials from Saturday Night Live? It's got 40,000 times the fiber of a bowl of Total. You would need 700,000 bowls of Total to equal the fiber in one bowl of colon blow. They had Quarry just eating a thing of rocks because it's not grown, it's mine. Some of those were funny. Bad idea jeans. Yeah, her ex-boyfriend's just getting out of prison, needs a place to stay. Bad idea. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. You guys want to talk about some of these other stocks? Yeah, that's a conservative number, and I really believe him. Yeah, I agree with you, Travis Murphy. I think it could be close to 40 billion. That's why I think we might get another bite at the apple. And this thing ran from like 20 to 60s. I made a fortune, and I think it's setting up to give us that opportunity again. I mean, how far is this turd going to fall? And not for nothing, guys, but this 43 number is not a random number. Like it consolidated right there and right here and then all through here. Remember when this was just trading, between 41 and 44, like forever back here, stop back here. So the algorithm, market makers, they like to sort of accumulate this stock in the low 40s. They seem very comfortable with that. So I don't think it's any coincidence that they're going to try to hold the stock here sideways, old lucky number 43. So anyway, looking at getting into more CRISPR, but it shows no signs. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, Carl, like just wait, because you don't want to try to catch a falling knife. And I'll talk about CRISPR. That's a great transition from the great Carl Seamark, the Mattress King of Chicago. CRISPR is getting beat up today for a number of reasons. Of course, it doesn't make money. There's cash burn, even though, we try to say, hey, they have a good runway through the end of next year for 2 years. That's really no time, because it takes a long time for these therapies to get to market, and it takes a long time for them to ramp up. It takes a long time for, the centers to sort of start centering and start, slinging this hash. So this is a tough business, guys. It's tough sledding. You have cash burn, you have uncertainty, you have you get one safety issue, one adverse safety event, and you're done. You guys saw what happened to Intellia the other day. I mean, this company's lost 70% of its value overnight or something. I don't know I think it might have slightly recovered last day or two. But that's just one hospitalization. They had to halt their trial, and it's game over. It's really hard to recover from something like that when you're already sort of hanging on by the, ends of your fingernails. But yeah, so why did they get hit? I mean, of course, this was going to sell off anyway, because that's just where it's been going. I mean, if you take a look at the sort of, this is very neat. I mean, again, this stock kind of liked this range for some time here between, 51, 56, 57. Then it had the pump, and then sort of the dump. So this was very neat. Even the slope of these straight lines is the same. So I'm not really worried about that. Um, I'm worried about Vertex. The Caskevi sales were weak. Vertex overall, beat top and bottom line quite significantly, but the stock still sold off because basically almost all the revenue and profit came from their old, I think, cystic fibrosis drug, and they didn't sell jack shit of their new pain drug, and they didn't sell jack shit of Caskevi. In fact, I think I forget, was it year on year or sequentially? It must have been sequentially, quarter on quarter. Caskevi revenues in the Vertex ER were actually down. I think it was 36%. I read that much earlier. It's 36%, I believe. Must have been sequentially, because I don't even think they were really selling it year on year. I don't even think this was out there in the market, barely maybe. But anyway, what's up, Devin Ishida, 39.25. Three big pink hands up to you. 1, 2, 3. Good to see you, Devin. We got the great Steve in the mountains here, 82.64. SoFi is going to the enemy territory with their fireside chat with KBW. Yeah, KBW is an absolute enemy of Noto's not afraid. I mean, Noto will go in anywhere. Noto will go right into the lion's den, the belly of the beast. No fucks given, dude. Noto's not afraid of anything. My daddy don't dance. Come on, dance the drink over here, Anthony. It's like, nah. I'm going to go to business school. You guys stay here and play cards. Fuck you. Dance the drink over here, Spider. That's it. Now he's moving. Don't go making a big deal out of it. Please, can an IOVA investor tell me what they think will happen after ER? Are they shorting the hell out of us even more? Yeah, they are shorting the hell out of IOVA. IOVA had, really, really critical data. I did a video about this yesterday. If you, care about IOVA at all. There's Green Tree. Let's see. So they released data on their lung cancer, program, and they got in a really strong response rate, some total responses. I think it was better than anybody was expecting, quite frankly. And just that preliminary data seemed to be twice as good as the standard of care, if not more than twice as good. So you'd have think it went up in Frankfurt or whatever, and it, pre-market, it was coming in at like $1.96. It popped up to $2.50 and then immediately came back down. So this stock is in the clutches of an evil microphallus cult that does nothing but control prices and, runs around trying to find a extra small condoms for their trips to the strippy. So anyway, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It's not a lurker here, for God's sake. I gotta start texting not a lurker when I'm gonna do a show. It's very important to my whole operation. Yep, Mr. Premium, the option 116 has it. This is exactly what it is. It's a shakeout. Takedown, breakdown, you're busted. It's very premium option. This could be that. This could be a shakeout. This could be a little course correction. This could be, just knocking something off the valuation, or this could be the beginning of the end of this whole run, and you could, see the markets correct. Now, I don't think that's about to happen. Not yet. I think this is going to go, through this year, maybe into early next year. It will correct at some point, but I think only parts of the market will correct. And you saw Palantir turned in really good numbers, and they still got hit pretty hard. And it's just because the multiples of valuation of the company just completely disconnected. I'd say not from reality, not from fundamentals, just from anything. It's just a frenzy. I mean, to me, you could say, well, they're growing, the commercial business at 60%. You would have to have decades of perfect execution and growth to grow into that valuation. I mean, it seems to me. Now, probably in the real world, you don't, because the way things compound and that level of growth, you definitely short circuit the timeline, get there a lot faster. Um, but anyway, yeah, Vaughn, you're right, Vaughn Sean. It's always that's what I was saying. It's like how many of this kick the can down the road? Our customers did change orders. It's a new thing, growing pains. We'll recognize the revenue. The market is not going to believe that for another quarter. Okay. You came out and you guided for, last time was like 40 billion. And I think he might have, granted 1 week quarter might make that very difficult, but they were talking 36 at the midpoint. So, 40 is not completely out of the realm of possibility. I mean, it sounds like it's not going to get there, but even if they're high 30s, mid 30s, high 30s, coming off of 22, I mean, even if they come close, they're going to be growing more than 50%. And I mean, this is a company that's really at scale now. I mean, this isn't a billion or a $2 billion company growing at 50 plus percent, 60%. This is a $20 billion company. And I'll just clue you guys in. 20, $25 billion companies do not grow at 50 and 60%. It just does not happen. I mean, some of these like Palantirs, NVIDIAs, these are unicorns. These are exceptions. And SMCI is turning in these numbers, and they're right place, right time, right plan, right people besides Wiggy. And the market just shits all over them. And, this is a cyclical deal. These rollouts, the new processors, and they're at the end of the cycle, and things look pretty bleak for a few quarters. And their growth is not just straight up and linear. Almost everything is cyclical to one degree or another. So if they can really, they're at least what I like is they're trying to give honest numbers. They're trying to get out ahead of it. Because I think this could have been honestly punished quite a bit worse. And it wasn't like a horrible miss. It's pretty much obviously right what they called out the other day because I already knew the numbers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Anyway, what else are we talking about, you turds? Facebook, Google, 1,000 PE in their day. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. It's like, and that's what I was saying, with anything growing that fast, the valuation is very, subjective to me because it's impossible to say how much of that growth they can sustain over how much time, how much momentum will really hold up. When things get bad, when things start going uphill. Because right now, I think we're sort of in this, like we were in a tech frenzy, tech bubble, AI bubble. Is it a bubble? Time will tell. Because really how you determine if it's in a bubble is, do these investments pay dividends? Do they pay off down the road? If they do, it's not really a bubble. It's a paradigm shift. Like if not a worker got a hairpiece, like a total paradigm shift. Then the space-time continuum. Give the entire galaxy Peyronie's disease, for God's sake. Revenue, shit margins, no profits. Yes and no. I mean, it's not really true. I mean, they're still profitable. I mean, they were like, I think the street was calling for, like for next quarter, it's calling for 61 cents, and they called for 57 or something. So, I mean, it's pretty weak, but company, again, growing the top line 50, 60%, they usually wouldn't be profitable at all. You'd usually be taking on a bunch of debt, and just fueling growth at all costs, not even caring. But that's not what you see with SMCI. This company is combining, profitability and extremely rapid hypergrowth. It's not easy to do, Travis. I mean, you make a very valid point. You were being hyperbolic. Okay. Sorry, I can't keep up on all that. Like, who's being sarcastic? And I just look down, I glance down and see like a tiny little fragment of the conversation you turds are having. Try to make heads or tails out of it. Yeah. I disagree with you. SMCI customers don't have them by the pubes because SMCI has the best solution. SMCI can offer their customers the lowest cost, most density, fastest deployment. I mean, I think it's a win-win. I think there's a reason people are coming to SMCI for the huge projects because their cost matters more than ever. If you're going to spend, $10 billion or more, 20, on one project, cost becomes a lot more significant than, cobbling together a bunch of smaller projects. So yeah, they're going to push them on price, but SMCI will maintain their margins because there's not unlimited allocations of these processors. You have to come to like one of 3 or 4 vendors. And SMCI, I think the customers in the business are going to come to them because everybody needs what they're selling. And they're selling a better product cheaper than others. That's my understanding. Anyway, I don't know what the hell else I was talking about. Yeah, but IOVA, market cap down here at 658 again after reports best in class clinical data for lifileucel in non-small cell lung cancer. So incredible data there. Does it hold up long term? Does it get to market? I mean, they were talking about getting this thing to market in 2027. It's only in phase 2. Interim phase 2 data, because the FDA has no other cure. They have no other treatment. So it's an unmet need. They want to accelerate this. If this data is, and it's safe and it can really help this many patients that can't be helped by anything else, that's what the FDA is doing, to get that out there to the people. Normally they're very careful, very deliberative. Things take years and years and years. But if it's something that can save lives today and the safety profile is there, they're going to accelerate approval, even if it's, conditional approval or whatever you call that. Preliminary approval. I forget what the term the FDA uses, but it's basically like they're going to go back and reevaluate, when more data becomes available and sort of confirm the conclusion or revise the conclusion. So they may pull but everything would depend on how's it going. If things curing people's cancers, and it's safe, they're not going to pull it. Anyway. Yeah, Palantir, a lot of room to grow. There's no doubt about that. I mean, and that shows in the numbers. I mean, their growth is just is crazy. But so is SoFi's growth is crazy. And SoFi's margins improved a lot. So, and I know they're not Palantir. I know they're not software. I know they're never going to have those margins at the end of the day when both companies are totally mature. But I see so much less risk in SoFi. I see just so much of a sure thing. She's such great, steady management. Every time Noto goes on and talks, I just have more and more confidence in this company. Because he is so confident. He sees the future. He knows he can get this thing to be top 10. Financial institution. You're talking, 5x the market cap here currently. But by that time, probably be even more. But I just don't see why people think it's not possible. Think of, they already, I guess what, how many times have they increased the market cap, just in the last year? So people think, oh, it can't happen and then people make the logical fallacy of saying, okay, it's already moved from 7 to 29. It has to go down. It can't go back up. But past performance does not indicate future returns, or you can't, inheritance of acquired characteristics just doesn't happen. I don't really know what that means, but no idea. But I don't know how it applies. It doesn't. So anyway, yeah, IOVA, big opportunity, big risk. I mean, it's sitting at a $650 million market cap. That's less than 3x this year's sales. Cure for melanoma, really good lung cancer data, but you just don't know if any of that's going to get to market. The melanoma is, but they're not making much, they're not, selling enough of it yet. The rollout's obviously slower than you like. It's always slower than you like. So we were originally guiding for I think 450 million this year. They had to revise that down from like 250 to 3. So that's a huge cut, but at least they're staying, on track to meet that goal. Knock on wood. Anyway, let's see. Anime Nerd Network news. Your lips to God's ears. Fat Jesus hears you. Yeah, no. The fact that they can't find a CFO in a year just reeks of incompetence or dishonesty. Yeah, no, Carl. Nio held up very well. Let's take a look at good old Nio. So it was just down 3.5 and then a little bit more after hours, but I really like this flag. Is this okay? It popped up to 750 and then, today back down to a lower close, but the chart still looks really good. I mean, to make a big move up, in my opinion. Volume's getting a little weak, but not horribly weak. It's like pretty weak. It's pretty lame. It's not super lame. But Nio's delivering. Nio delivered again for the third week in a row, more than 10,000 cars. Onvo and Firefly, strong growth. I mean, I think Nio is really dialing it in. And they're going to make a profit. They're going to keep growing. And I think this company is going to be there after all the, shakeouts and consolidations and everything else. So I'm still hugely bullish on Nio. Does that mean they can't push back down? I just don't think they want to. I think there's too many things lining up bullish. We really need some partner, cars on the swap network. Because it's hard to make those economics work with just Nios and Onvos. I know Firefly, the next Fireflies are going to be using Choco from CATL. Where are the partner cars on the Nio swap network? Nio's mature swap network. It's ready to go on day one. Anybody who's willing to put the engineering time and money into building a Nio partner car, Nio swap network partner car. They announced all those partners for the, swap alliance. This is years ago now. These big state-owned companies. I think if they wanted to push Nio to the forefront, they would be. And they could be, but they're not. Is it just waiting for the announcement? Is it in engineering? Is it in design? Companies, just need to move units and they just aren't prepared to sort of make that investment, time, effort, money for, something that's heretofore been, I think, quite uncertain. Somebody's going to do it, but I think CATL and the government might have to push them into it. Because I think people, a lot of companies are like, well, why not just go with Choco? Because, CATL is going to build out thousands and thousands of swaps. Nio can't, challenge them at scale. And it's just dead wrong. I mean, Nio has already built the swap network. This thing functions flawlessly. And their customers absolutely love battery swap. And they almost all do it. And it provides an insane amount of benefits for, battery, the government, society, recycling, reuse, environmental damage. Obviously China is very, very concerned with those things, but it's helpful everywhere. Kind of losing my train of thought. Pretty freaking tired, guys. Anyway, yeah, so I think Nio's in really good shape. Yeah, Nio today, if you were just down 3-4% in terms of a growth stock, particularly a pre-profit growth stock, you're doing really well. So back to my precious, my first love. No, first love is a U-turner anyway. Yeah, so SoFi it was really kind of trading along there happily at 29. Okay, you can see this again. This is sort of doing that. Sorry, I didn't mean to move that. This is sort of doing that big dog, little dog thing that it was doing. You see that? Big, little, big, little, big, little, big. And then back to it, sort of big, little. Just very odd. This is a massive range today, but it was a total fugazi. What would you expect from this stock? I mean, dropped off a cliff initially, all the way down to 28, whatever it is, 67, then popped all the way back up like $2 whole in no time. So, and then just sold off at this nice controlled down bubble the rest of the day. And if you look at every time this sells, these are almost all the same slope right here, very close to the same slope here. And then it sort of gets messy, but here, no, not that one. Here. It's just a complete, algo driven sell off, but it's the whole market. It's not like, oh, SoFi is being, manipulated. The only difference I think is there's still a lot of, buying pressure there coming in from the ER. People are still jumping on board. People are still jumping on the bandwagon. A lot of people who I think are savvy and smart are going to wait to try to get in on SoFi a little bit after the ER, because even on the very, very best ERs, triple beat home runs, they still go after and hit the stock. Another point with SoFi, volume remains bullish. This usually falls off, but there was still almost 70 million shares traded. And I think yesterday was like 90 million. So a lot of times this would fall back apart. It's 50 million, 60 million. It wasn't even lower because just nobody's interested, because it lost, they took sort of the excitement out of it by stepping on it, which is what they did last week. And, more of the same. You just see it comes in pre-market 30.63. Or no, that's where it closed. I'm sorry. Totally confused. But, opens, I don't know where it opened. I should know. But all the way down was the low of the day. Down here, obviously way below 29, all the way back up. This isn't, normal, natural price action. But you can see from this point right here at 31, this sell-off does not stop for this dump and pump. I mean, this is just a beautiful slope sell-off. They have this thing dialed in either way, guys. A little more info, 6 months. Think it'll be a big look. BlackRock's 40. Okay, I'll take a look. I think the way to play crypto and minor companies pivoting, providing AI, HPC, data centers, Plod, Ren, Wolf, more. A lot of those names have been hot lately. I saw IREN, people talking about that stock all day long. Not recommend anyone, just mentioning. Yeah, sure, why not? Solana Holdings might still be early. Yeah. Solana, XRP, I got too much of this crap. Cherry is opening a dealership in my city in the UK. Where's Nio at? I know they're supposed to. I know Nio was supposed to move into the UK and then it was delayed. And I don't know where that stands. I think the partner cars will ramp up 2027 once the consumer starts to think about the battery degradation liability. I hope you're right, but here's my problem with that next gen combat sports TV. By 2027, CATL has a mature battery swap network. Okay, I'm telling you, we're going to get stabbed in the back. They're going to leave us for dead and drive us out into a cold prairie. This is my home. What would you do if I came to your home? I'd kill you. Right. I'm fond of you, Sue. Jesus. Anyway, no, just big shout out to my friend Kevin Costner. Great actor. Great man. Let's see. Yeah, so that's my worry. That's too long. Like they announced these battery swap network partners 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So it takes them 5 years to get this thing online. Nio needs a freaking skateboard. Nio needs a skateboard. I don't care if it's a Phil Sims. What I have? I had a Veriflex Eliminator. Board was a piece of crap, almost killed me. Anyway, guys. Dude, Ass Face has joined us. I don't know what the markets are doing, but I like it. Why do you like it? Are you shorting the market? Devin Ishida. I was down on my whole portfolio. Good day. Yeah, Actually, you own some quality today if you were only down 3%, because, I mean, heck, the NASDAQ was down 2. And when the NASDAQ's down 2, a lot of these growth names are down 6, 7, 8. CRISPR's down 8. SMCI down 6, and then like another 10 after hours. Everything's down. Even, Bitcoin's crashing. Bitminer, call it shit miner. Bitmine immersion. I mean, and I know these guys are all very smart guys, are all way smarter than me, better looking, younger, richer, the whole thing. Big old schlangs on them. I got a nice manageable wing and me. You guys are just whacking around, unlike horses. But then no, I mean, buy anything under 60. Okay, now you're under 40. Now you lost 33% of your money in a couple weeks. This is why when I say things start to look shaky, be in quality. Don't be in, I'm not saying don't be in crypto, but don't be in crypto miners whose valuations are not moored, to the bounds of reality, the ballast of the real world. The flight of fancy. A hummingbird. Oh, sorry. Too much sparkling water. Realize my head's not even in the shot. You guys didn't need to see my head, do you? Oh, face for radio. Breath for a taxi driver. Someone very smart insists you can't smell your own bad breath by putting your hand over your nose and breathing out. I insist I can. Unless somebody else has snuck up right beside me and they have bad breath. Nope. It's me. That's a good thing about you, turd. You guys aren't here, so you don't have to deal with it. Anyway, I don't know what the hell I was talking about, but SoFi, to me, is just holding up incredibly well. They always crush this thing after earnings. Big red day today. Came into ER at 31, and it's sitting here at 29. So $2 and really came in at 30.60 or something. But this ER was stellar. The growth, incredible growth across the board, pretty much. I don't know. I'm just not buying it. They desperately want you to believe, hey, it's going to go down to 25. You got to dump at 25. It's going to stay stagnant. I mean, these shorts aren't going to get a chance to cover again at 7. I don't think they're going to get a chance to cover again even at 14, 15. I mean, I'm one of these guys, every time it touches 30, I'm like, oh, last chance ever to buy at 30. The next day, it's all like down every time. That's why big fat guys shouldn't say too much stuff. A lot of it turns out to be bullshit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I think you do. Let's see. Who else do we have here? I really like how you said SoFi is holding up. I think it will be a rockin', but yeah, it is. It's safe harbor. Because Noto, SoFi does well in up and down markets. They're hedged. They're trying to always watch their risk profiles. Credit's getting better. This isn't, SoFi is so much more than a growth story right now. They're executing at scale. They're making real profits. Everything's growing. Everything looks positive. It's going the direction they want it to go. And I think if you're going to go back to these like bank multiples, it's stupid. That's not what SoFi, really is. SoFi, every single ER, they prove that they're evolving right before our eyes into a tech company, but they're not. They were always set up this way. I say it over and over, it's order of operations. Noto had to set up the tech stack, had to then set up the bank to lower the cost of capital, durable competitive advantage. Then he can move on to all these, shiny wants that we, all of us Karens have been crying for, the options, the crypto. He's like, look, guys, I'm going to get you. Just hold my beer while I go ahead and build the back end. You know what I mean? Be awesome if Noto told me to hold his beer. Yes, sir. Yes, Papa. Get you another one. Run home and grab my shine box. Give those wingtips a little spit shine. What do you say? Your security detail seems to have stopped me from entering the limo. What gives, Papa? You don't know me? You don't have a fat son who's your same age? Always asking about preferred shares? Typical. Anyway, so yeah, they're just being, I mean, if look at what happened on the daily. I mean, you see the stock coming in right at the end of the day, 29.75, and then they just absolutely massacre it. Goes from 29.75 all the way down to, this closing level in just, 15 minutes. So there was a couple other drops like this. You see this guy's these, I don't know why I keep saying, these vertical candles, these really long vertical candles. You see how it sells off over and over again to the vertical. I think that's how you know if something's selling off, kind of it's accumulating. It's like, what is the price action telling you at different times? I mean, this is moving sideways and up, sideways and up, sideways and up. I just call these hammer candles. Like, what is this when you open at 29.80 and you close at 29.68, 1 cent off the low? So they drop it 12 cents in 1 minute. That's the mistake. They're not dropping it 12 cents in 1 minute. They're dropping it 12 cents in 1 nanosecond because that's the only way it works. They couldn't drop the price over a minute because there'd be too much on the order book over a minute to do that in only 120,000 shares of volume. It wouldn't work because you'd have to keep eating up the order book as new offers come on the bid or the ask. I'm sorry. New offers come on the ask. And then, because that's how they fix the price. They overwhelm the whole order book. They put all these shares for sale way below the market price at the same instant. So it can eat up everything above that in the order book. And then, what do buyers want to do? They want to buy as low as possible. So they're obviously attracted like flies on stink to these price fixers who are trying to sell their shares way below the market price. Because that's really what price fixing of the downside is. Selling a bunch of shares all at one instant, at least with these hammer candles. I mean, look at these things over here, guys. How many of them? Once, twice, 3 times. And it always has the same structure. It's like 2 minutes. And one little hitch in the giddy up there. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Or 5 for fighting, whatever you're going to do. But anyway, we'll just have to see what tomorrow brings. I don't know what earnings are on tap. I've been working today, guys. I haven't had a chance to really take a good hard look at the markets. The tariff thing will be huge. Obviously, I don't think, they're just hearing arguments tomorrow. It's not the ruling or anything. It usually takes quite some time. Bitcoin plummets below 100. I think it's back above 100. Supermicro plummets, earnings revenue falls short. Barry discloses bet against NVIDIA, Palantir after bubble warning. Not surprising. Trump official warns of mass chaos. Yeah, no shit. Some guy sold, I think it was $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. One of the Satoshi era guys who had a bunch of Bitcoins under his mattress. Anything else going on here? Yeah, AMD earnings are strong as chipmaker works rival. I think they sold off though. I might be wrong. Let me see. Let's see what happened to AMD. That was a big Jeremy stock. He was saying buy a bunch of AMD. Let's just take a look. Yeah, it's selling off pretty good. $10, and then sold off $10 during the day, and then 10 more after hours. So Mr. Market not liking what he sees out of Advanced Micro Devices, Inc. Beats Q3 estimates on top and bottom line, offers strong Q4 guidance, and still selling off. So when you put all this in context of these stocks that are selling off with these huge triple beats, I think SoFi is holding up just incredibly well. So proud of my papa, Anthony Noto, and the entire management team down at SoFi Technologies Incorporated. Consolidated. Shit is going to keep bleeding. I can't tell. I'm talking about a bunch of stocks. Which one are you talking about, Travis? People stop paying their student loans. Yeah, but SoFi is not really reliant on student loans. No, SoFi is not going to keep bleeding. I firmly believe you're wrong if that's the stock you're talking about. The buying pressure has just been absolutely relentless. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were shorting today. I haven't looked. Maybe not. Not really. It's pretty flat. And also, Travis, I mean, once the swing traders are out, the short-term guys are out, there's going to be a lot less selling pressure on the stock, and hedge funds are buying hand over fist. Institutions are buying. They're not getting out. So where's all the selling going to come from? Retail giving up hope? They couldn't scare us at in the fours. We're not scared of 29, 28. Retail is buying all these dips. I mean, how many shares can these bearish market makers just dump on the market? How many weeks can they do this? Doesn't seem possible. I mean, I know they're basically churning the shares themselves. But anyway. All of them? Yeah, well, possible. It's just, what is the market? These stocks are not powerful enough to, buck the overall market, obviously. You can see that. So you're just, Travis is calling for the end of the world. The dawning of the age of Aquarius. I don't really know what the point of this whole show was, but I like SoFi right now. I think basically if the economy goes bad and they do start to see more delinquencies and they see less demand in terms of what's going on with the economy, I think the corresponding rate cuts will boost demand. I think SoFi is going to be fine no matter what happens. And I think that's exactly how Noto and team have designed the business so that it thrives and survives in all market conditions, up and down and all around. Ahmed US 82 prop is making inverse head and shoulders, huge volume under 2, earnings so far away. Yeah, man, that's a tough one because there's so much potential there, but it's so much execution risk. Can these guys get the oil and gas out of the ground? That's really, it's like yes or no, undervalued or shit. No doubt. Time for me to buy a blazer. Yeah, you definitely need a blue blazer with some brass buttons. Think of Danny Noonan. I needs money 777. Thoughts on prop? I've just got to wait for the ER and see where they're at with production, or if they drop another production update. But I think they're using their resources, their drilling rig, as efficiently as they possibly can, because you could take a little bit longer to pull it out of the ground. The important thing is you recover all your costs and you pull as much as possible out of the ground so you get paid as much as you can. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of like falling asleep during the show. Anyway, tomorrow, midweek, I think, a lot of people might hear something in the Supreme Court oral arguments that they kind of latch onto, that the tariffs should go away. That could be bullish. Otherwise, though, I think Travis is right. Things just look bleak. I think valuations are resetting. I think people are concerned about the economy, the government shutdown, the debt, geopolitics. We're talking about going to war in Venezuela, going to war in Nigeria. I don't know, guys. Like, wars they're good for the economy, perhaps in the short term. Obviously, they create a lot of demand in certain places, but overall, war is not an efficient way to use your resources if you just put it in market terms. I know there's like dispute between the Dutch and the Chinese and us and the Chinese, but people are capable of resolving things through dialogue and through compromise. Now, these days, compromise, dialogue, those are dirty words. Because nobody wants to do politics. I think it was Tip O'Neill who famously, no, that wasn't Tip O'Neill. The politics is sort of at its definition that you always hear from the textbooks is, the art of compromise, whatever. Because nobody gets everything they want. But I'll tell you, we do have to address the debt. I mean, if we don't address the debt or print like $1 trillion crypto coins, we're going to be in big trouble. And I know, the powers that be, the Janet Yellens and stuff, it's like, oh, don't worry, it's not a huge percentage of GDP. Okay. But what happens when things get bad, tax revenues start to fall? I don't know. Things will probably reset in a few weeks. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. Like, what do you think? How far do you think the market's going to go down? 20%, 10%, 12%? I don't think it's going to be, 25, 30% correction, but 20% certainly conceivable. Been on a big bull run here quite some time. Anyway, guys, sorry this show was kind of incoherent and all over the place. I'm very tired and not that smart in the first place. So that's what you get. Travis is calling the end of the world. It's over. So I guess, Travis, you would say what? Go to cash, go to, bond ETF and just take your 4%. There's really nothing to be scared of, guys. I mean, markets don't go straight up. Whether the thing is, if you're someone who's constantly invested and not trying to time the market and get out and back in, you really don't have anything to worry about. And I would argue market timing is foolish. So there's nothing to worry about. Either you're investing in this thing or you're not. So don't worry, guys. It doesn't help. Seen Bridge of Spies, like, you don't seem worried. It's like, would it help? Anyway, guys, un poco mas. My name is Cornbread. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Got to go to the bathroom. I'm old.